This video is over Station 3. When you look at problem 1, what we want to do is we want to box in the x minus 4 because we want to deal with that after we have gotten rid of the denominator of 5. It keeps this problem pretty simple if you get rid of that 5 first. So x minus 4 is divided by 5. The inverse operation of that is multiplication. So we're going to multiply each side by 5. On the right side, when we multiply negative 10 by 5, we're going to get negative 50. And then on that left side, since we're using the inverse operation, we're going to cancel the 5's. And we'll be left with x minus 4. Now what is keeping the x from being alone is the 4, and the 4 is being subtracted from the x. We want to focus on this sign right here. We're going to use the inverse operation, and we're going to add 4 to both sides. So when you have a negative number and a positive number, you find the difference. And the difference between 50 and 4 is 46. And since you have more negatives, this is going to be a negative 46. On the left side, negative 4 plus 4 is equal to 0, so we are left with x. So x equals negative 46. All right, let's look at problem 2. In problem 2, again, we're going to put a box around the numerator, the x plus 2, because what a lot of people do is they try to subtract 2 from each side, and the thing is that on the left side we don't really have a 2. It's really x divided by 8 plus 2 divided by 8. So when you subtract 2, you can't really cancel that 2 because the 2 is really 2 divided by 8, or you could say 1/4 since it simplifies to that. So normally what I show you in class is to put a box around the x plus 2 and leave it alone until you get rid of the denominator. So we're going to get rid of this denominator of 8 by multiplying each side by 8. The x plus 2 is divided by 8, so the inverse operation is multiplying by 8. On the left side, 8 divided by 8 equals 1, so we are left with x plus 2. And then on this right side, we're going to multiply the 8 by 2/3. And I'm going to write this in fractional form so you can see that I'm multiplying the numerators. You multiply across, and you get 16 for the numerator, and then you multiply the denominators, 3 times 1, and you get 3. And then the last step that you're going to take in this is you're going to get the x alone on the left side by subtracting 2. We're using the inverse operation to get rid of this 2 because 2 minus 2 equals 0. So now we have the x alone, which is what we're trying to do. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So over here we have 16/3 minus 2. And what you might want to do is you might want to change this 2 so that it has a denominator of 3, just so it's easier for you to see how this is being subtracted. 2 over 1 we can change so that it has a denominator of 3 by taking the denominator of 1 and multiplying it by 3. And then we also will have to multiply the numerator 2 by 3, and we'll get 6/3. 6/3, just think about it, 6 divided by 3 equals 2. So let's take 16/3, and then we'll subtract 2 in the form of 6/3. And then at this point, what you do is you just concern yourself with the numerator. 16, include the symbol, minus 6, we're left with 10/3. So the answer to this problem is x equals 10/3. And we can also write this as a mixed number. We can get out 3, a whole number of 3. And then if you take 3 times 3, you get 9. 10 minus 9 is 1, so we're left with a remainder of 1/3. And if you want to check your work and make sure that you made the mixed number properly, you just take 3, the 3, and multiply it by the 3, you get 9. And then you add the numerator 1, and you'll get 10. And that will give you the 10/3, just like you have over here. So you know that you made your mixed number properly when you check it. Alright, let's go ahead and do number 3. Okay, in number 3, I'm going to put a box around the x minus 9 divided by negative 15, and I'm going to deal with this minus 4 first. Because if I was trying to get rid of, a lot of people try to get rid of this negative 15 first, and if you do that, that's okay, as long as you multiply both this piece right here, the x minus 9 over negative 15, and the negative 4 by negative 15. People often try to just multiply the x minus 9 over negative 15 times the negative 15, but you have to remember that if you do multiply one side by a number, it has to be the entire side. And then you also multiply would multiply the left side by negative 15 as well. It makes it less complicated to just start by adding 4 to each side. So that's what I've taught you to do in class, is you add 4 to both sides. On the left side we're going to get 11, and then on the right side we'll just be left with the x minus 9 over negative 15. Because negative 4 plus 4 gives you 0, so we don't even have to copy that down on the next line. So I'll just cross that out. And then the next step looks like the 2 problems that we just did, and in those problems we put a box around the numerator x minus 9, and we left that alone, and then we would multiply by the denominator. Because the x minus 9 is being divided by the negative 15, so the inverse operation would be multiplying by negative 15. On the right side, negative 15 divided by negative 15 is just 1. So on this right side, we're going to be left with x minus 9. And then on the left side, when you take a negative 15 and multiply it by 11, you get negative 165. And then the x is being kept alone, being kept from being alone because of the 9, the negative 9. So to get rid of that, we're going to add 9 to each side. Over here on the right side, negative 9 plus 9 is 0, so we're left with x, and that was the whole point, was to get the x alone. And then on the other side, we'll do the same thing. You have to do the same thing to both sides to maintain equality. And when you take the 165, negative 165, and you add 9, you get negative 156. And that's your final answer, negative 156. And I will finish the rest of these problems in another video.